Hey, remember to like and subscribe to Bless Mess. That subscribe button's not so hard to find. Hey guys, well, welcome to Bless Mess. I haven't done a video in a while, maybe a couple of weeks, and I wanted to do one about what I've sold in the last maybe about 30 days. And I had a really great buy today. Someone bought something from me today that was awesome, and I'm going to try to put everything right here. So as I'm talking about it, so the first item that sold today was something called Pucci, or Pucci. It looks like Gucci, but it's Pucci. It's a fashion book, and it sold for $160. After fees and everything, I got about $134 for it. This is something I bought from a thrift store for $10. It's really colorful. The outside kind of reminds you of Peter Max or something like that. But if you see this book, it's very large. It's about 8 pounds, between 5 and 8 pounds. So if you see this book, it's super colorful. You can see it from 10 feet away. Whenever I saw it, I knew that it was a very valuable book, and I looked at the book very closely, and it was not damaged in any way. And I had someone in Texas buy it today. Awesome. The next thing that I sold was Digital Underground. This is an EP release. If you don't know who Digital Underground is, well, you're probably not as old as me. So I'm 51, and so that's Digital Underground is, the Humpty Dance and all that, but it actually is the first album that Tupac was on. So Tupac Shakur was on that 1990 release, and I sold it for $9.89, and the buyer paid shipping. And it was in great condition, no scratches or anything, perfect condition. But you could tell it was an EP. It was not, not widely produced. So whoever got that did and I just saw that at a vendor's mall, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's one with Tupac on it. And the very first song on that EP is a Tupac song. So they kind of started off with him, and I think he did background dancing and some other stuff with him too. The next thing that I had, and I got this in a book buy, it's the Proceedings of the General Assembly of Virginia from 1619. It's actually a 1970 book from the Virginia Commonwealth Assembly, and they basically, the book, and I'll try to put a picture or something up here, but the book on one side is the script. It looks like Thomas Jefferson or something, that kind of old school script writing on one page, and on the opposing page it's typeface, so you can actually read it, but it's old English, so you can't really understand it. But somebody got that, and I had it listed for $20, but I sold it for $13, and after fees and everything, it's like $10.49. But I think I got it for 50 cents or 25 cents or something. I didn't get it for very much at all. It was in a bulk buy, so it was like $5 fill up a bag type of buy. One of the first things that I listed whenever I was on eBay, when I started really doing eBay, was this next item. It's called Luftwaffe board game. It's like an old role-playing game that has the hexagonal pieces, cardboard pieces, and it's like Germany versus the Allies, and it's from 1971. I remember playing this as a kid, not this particular game, but I remember playing this game as a kid and remembering that the Germans always won. So it was like Luftwaffe it was Luftwaffe made in 1971. You kind of think about that, it's like 30 years after the war, less than 30 years after the end of the war, but they made that game. But it was very difficult to win with the British and the American fighters, because it was like a role-playing game, but the German side was so heavily armored. I sold it for $21. Shipping was like $15, so very expensive to ship it out to California. But they got a great game. I mean, it had barely been used. I mean, the maps on the inside are so cool. The board game piece of it, the actual board is so cool. I mean, it was like art. And then the other accompanying maps and everything in it, those are just so cool that it is well worth whatever they paid for it. The next thing, and I made about $20 on that, and I bought that at a Goodwill, like a year and a half ago. It's been on eBay for like a year and a half, and it finally sold. And so the next thing I found it at Goodwill. It's called Thus Saith the God's Word. It's like if you were a counselor in the 70s and you were a Christian counselor and you needed some scripture or some help about a certain condition a person might come in. They may have depression, or they may have substance abuse issue, or marital issue, whatever the thing is. This little it's just like scripture aids. So you could go and you could say marriage, and you could flip to it, and it would give you all the different Bible verses that had to do with marriage. This thing's outdated now. You've got a Bible app, or you've got Google, or whatever you want to do. But this thing was so cool. I found this I got it for $1 at Goodwill and sold it for $45, and it was in great shape. It had been used, but not very much. It had been on, you could tell one little corner someone had grabbed it and just had flipped that corner up, but that's about it. It was in great shape. Sold it for $45, and I did free ship on that, so it was like $3.89 or something to ship it. So I made about $40 on that one, and after fees, probably $35 or something. I mean, sometimes when you go into Goodwill and you're walking through the books, and from 10 feet away, I can find a book like that Poochie book that I found for $160, or this one for $45. From 10 feet away, I knew it was something, because it didn't look like anything else I'd ever seen. So I went straight over to it, picked it up, and was like, I know this is worth something. I'm getting it for $1. I don't even, whatever. The next item is 1968 Better Homes and Gardens new cookbook. In one of my previous videos, I always say, hey, look for the red and white cookbook. This one was actually in Goodwill bins, so I just paid like how much the weight was. So all the stuff that I got at the bins was like $5. So I got a painting, this book, and some other stuff. And another book about ballerina, 1950 ballerinas. The bins aren't really that great for books, but I couldn't pass up that. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's going to sell. And it sold for $15.99. The buyer paid shipping. So after fees, probably made $14 or something. Normally those go for $20 to $30, but this one is it was clean. It was in great shape, but it's 68. If it had been 81 or 79, it sold better. If it had been from the 50s, it would have sold better. It's just in a weird era. So 68 was good, but it's not like psychedelic 68. It's like really super conservative mom 68. So it's just not a very good cookbook, but it's still, for probably 50 cents what I got it for, it sold for $15, or $16, so it's great. The next item that I had was a Cape Town, South Africa shirt. It's from South Africa. It says Cape Town with the sunset, and you can see it in the picture that I'll put up here. And that sold for $14.99 plus the shipping. The next item was a George Plimpton. He was the author, and he wrote about Truman Capote. And it's a great looking book. I got it for $1 at Goodwill. Sold it for $18. Everywhere else it's listed for like $20, and I just sold it for 18, and I did great on that. The next book that I had was Jaguar E-Type 6-Cylinder Restoration and Originality Guide. It is a everything you want to know about E-Type 6-Cylinder Jaguars, and I got it at a vendor's mall, $1.50, and I sold it for $25. And the buyer paid shipping, and great book. The next book that I sent out was Sergeant York, Last of the Hunters, for $14. It's a more historical book about Sergeant York, Alvin C. York, who was a World War I hero. He's from Pall Mall, Tennessee, so right around where I'm from, and so that's it's really a cool book. It's just a paperback, sold for $14. I sold the Superman 4 movie book with Christopher Reeve on the cover. I think I made like 50 cents on this. I put it as an auction just to do it for $2.99. It sold for $2.99. The buyer paid shipping, so they got the book for $3, and they paid $2.89 in shipping. So for $5.89 they got a book that's probably worth about $14. But I just put it on auction just to see what it would do. I'm experimenting right now, putting some things on auction, and some things are doing really good that way. The next thing that I have is a set of 2 Jim Beam ribbon logo whiskey rocks, lowball glasses. Both the glasses had like the ribbon logo in the bottom of the glass that was kind of covered. It was really cool. Sold both of them for $9, and the buyer paid shipping. Shipping was like $8, so they got both of those for $17. I think that's a good deal for them. Those cost me 59 cents a piece at a Goodwill. So, for $2, for about $1, I sold something for $9. So I did okay on that. The next thing was a Haley's Bible Handbook from 1965. It's a hardcover. It's like something that if you're wanting to research the Bible, and it's kind of an old school way of doing it, like you want to research and you're wanting to do studying the Bible, you can use that book to do that instead of going to Google or doing something with your Bible app or something. I typically use these handbooks for this kind of thing. A lot of them are paperback, but this one was hardback. Sold it for $9.50. It was free for the buyer. The shipping was free for the buyer. It cost $2.89. So I didn't really make that much on it. But Bible items, I usually kind of blow them out, and I don't really expect to get a whole bunch unless it's like a rare Bible. But this is not a rare item. They sell for about $10 in the store, but you can't find them. So I made about $5-6 on that. The Great Outdoors. This DVD is a DVD that I got at a CARM store, which CARM is Knox Area Rescue Ministries. It's like they help the homeless. So it's they have a mission. It's kind of like a rescue. It's a rescue mission in Knoxville, Tennessee, and CARM stores are all over Knoxville. But this one particular CARM store, I thought was kind of cool. Like my wife and I went and looked at. We were in there just breezing through there, and I said, "What was going on in DVD?" She's like, "Nothing. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in CDs or DVDs that look cool or anything." And most of the time, I just take her word for it. Like, she's got a great eye about finding stuff, so I just don't even pay any. But actually, there weren't really any books. And whenever I was looking, I hadn't really found any books. And then all of a sudden, that Poochie book just appeared in front of me, and I was like, "Oh my God, we're going to be able to, this is going to be a $200 book or $150 book. I know that this thing is that, well regarded." So I was like, there's other stuff here. As soon as I saw that Poochie book, I was like, there's other stuff in here, and I don't know what it is, but there's going to be some other cool stuff in here. I found 2 other books in that section. There were other fashion books in there, but they were in bad shape. Like they had been used and abused, and some looked like somebody went to fashion design school or something. I'm getting off my topic. But anyway, that Pucci book was just sitting there on the top shelf, unmarked. I thought it was $1.99, so I got it. I was babying it because I knew exactly how much it was worth. And then I looked around and I saw 2 other books, and they go for about $60. One was a religious book, and I have forgotten what the other book was. But I know, it was a book from Rhodes College, and it was their 100-year anniversary book from Rhodes College, which is a college in Memphis. And that book goes for about $60. So I'm standing there I'm thinking, got $300 worth of books in my hand for $6. So I'm like, something else is here. And I asked my wife, what about DVDs or anything over there? She's like, no. And so I was like, well, I'm done in the book section. As soon as I found those, I kind of skimmed, didn't really see anything else. And I go to the DVD section. And honestly, there really wasn't that much in the DVD section on the face of it. But then I saw this Supercross video. And I'm like, whoa, Supercross. Surfing, skating, Supercross, wakeboard riding, any kind of extreme sport, especially from like 1992 to 2005. This like sweet spot of Amazon didn't exist, Netflix didn't exist kind of space. Those videos always sell. So if you find Supercross or motocross, surfing, snowboarding, skating, especially if it's like old school skating, like from the 80s or 90s, or early 90s, those extreme sports are really valuable. So look for those. So I'm looking and I see something on the shelf, and just looking at the binding or the spine of the DVDs, you wouldn't really know that what they are, because they are labeled weird things like The Great Outdoors, The Constant War. It's like, what is that? So my wife is looking up there and going, I don't know what this, it's just some craziness. They have all these weird titles. They don't say like Super Motocross Jeremy McGrath. They don't come out and say that on the spot. So if you're looking at it, you think it's like a kid's video or it's some B movie or whatever. But I did know what it was. When I saw The Great Outdoors on one of them, I said, that's from the early 2000s, and that's like the championship of motocross. Like, it's like really long videos too. They're like 80 minutes or 100 minutes of like motocross races. And so when I saw Great Outdoors, I was like, oh, whoa, there's something that's really valuable, because I know that's like a $20 DVD. And I saw that one, and I pulled it out, and then I'm scanning, and I'm like, I see another one, and I see another one, and I see another one. So I see 2002, 2004, 2005, 2006. I'm starting to see them all. It's kind of like Beautiful Mind, all the stuff is coming towards you. But that's really what it felt like. I mean, it was a out-of-body experience, because I don't normally find that many extreme sports videos in one place. Like, I've been to one other time where I found surfing from like the early to mid 90s, surfing, snowboarding, what was the other thing? Wakeboarding. But I found a bunch of those at a Goodwill, and that same experience happened at Carm, at this other thrift store, just a couple of weeks ago. I saw one, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's another one, there's another one, there's not 20. There were 20 of those. So somebody's entire collection of motocross, supercross, extreme sport, motorcycling, stuff was there. Jeremy McGrath in 2006. So I'm glad I knew what The Great Outdoors was, because I had seen that before and sold that video before. So this one is called The Constant War, and I think this is from. It's like a special. All these were like special editions. Some of them were still sealed. So this one I sold for $21. I did free ship on it because they're like $2.89 to ship a DVD anyway. So I'll take a $3 hit on something that I picked up for $1. So really, I sold this one video for $17 after fees and shipping and all the other stuff. One DVD for $17. Try to do that with any other stuff in the DVD section. You can't. That's the only place that you can find that kind of stuff. So whenever I saw that one, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many. So I had like 20 DVDs of just Supercross, motocross. So The Great Outdoors was one of them, and I think I had like 5 or 6 of The Great Outdoors. So it was like 2002, 2005, 2006, 2004, whatever. And some of them were special editions, The Great Outdoors 2 or whatever. And they shot hundreds of hours of this stuff, and they distilled it down to like 100 minutes. So the next one that I had was Supercross Showdown. It's a 2007 video. And it's like a tribute to Jeremy McGrath. So I sold it for $8. They paid the shipping on it. If it's really low like that, I just have them pay the shipping. If it's a more expensive DVD, like $20 or $22, I'll take the hit on the shipping. And because I feel like, I'm paid $21 and it's already open and whatever. And that's what I did on that. But here's the other thing about this time frame. Okay. The time frame of these DVDs. Something that you need to be aware of is when you were 12, what were you doing? What was your hobby when you were 12? For me, it was like video games, or Pac-Man or whatever the thing, Space Invaders, 1982, that's what was going on, E.T., or the movies that were cool, like Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, or whatever it was. That was what I was into. So I'm old. I get that. But you got to think about the people that were 12 in 2002. If they were 12 in 2002, then they're like 30 now, right? And they can afford a $21 DVD about Jeremy McGrath or The Great Outdoors or motocross. If they were into motorcycling when they were 30, they might have a kid that's 10 that wants to see the cool stuff that Dad did whenever he was 12. Oh, I remember this one DVD. Well, you can't find it on Amazon. You can't find it on Netflix. You can't find it anywhere, but you can punch it up on eBay and go, there's that DVD. So I'm starting to think more and more like it's not necessarily about some 30-year-old guy trying to recapture his youth, but he might be wanting to share something with his son or daughter. And so you got to start thinking about that, thinking about that when you're purchasing. The stuff from the 70s, I don't know if that's going to sell as quickly as something from 2004. That's kind of nostalgic. You got to think nostalgia kind of runs its course at some point. The media that I would have watched, whatever my favorite movie was in 1982, has probably gotten repurposed and put on DVD, or you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube probably, But anyway, that's what I start thinking about more and more is what is nostalgic right now? How far back are we talking about when you're 12 or 13, when she's 12 or 13 or he's 12 or 13? What are they thinking about? And if you think, oh, that could be 2002. And to me, 2002 doesn't seem that long ago, but my goodness, that's 19 years ago. So it's nostalgia. 2002, 2003, 2004, that's nostalgia. So somebody might be hearkening back to that. So I look for that when I'm thinking about DVDs. I don't necessarily think you're going to be looking at the stuff from the 70s and 80s and trying to sell it. It's almost like having a yearbook from 1999 versus a yearbook from 1959. Who's buying the 1959 yearbook? Probably not very many people. They either have it or they don't care anymore about looking at the 1959 yearbook. But people that 1999 college yearbook, they might want it. Or the 2009 yearbook, they might want it. So if you come across a yearbook, start thinking like, just because it's old doesn't mean it's that valuable, because these are sentimental items. It's kind of weird to think about Supercross and motocross being sentimental item, but it is. Anyway, the Supercross Showdown was one of the things that I bought. So out of 20 DVDs, I sold 2 of them the day that I listed them, and it paid for all of them. So I've still got 18 more to sell, and they're listed, and I'm just waiting to sell those. That buy could net me $300 very easily. $300, because several of those are sealed and pretty rare. I mean, they're not anywhere else, and the sell-throughs are pretty good on those. So the next item is a Vans Atlanta t-shirt. It was an old school t-shirt. Sold it for $10. The buyer paid the shipping on it. I sold a New York City John Lennon ringer style shirt. You can see it right here. It sold for $12.50. The buyer paid that. I sold some NFL Phoenix Cardinals, not the Arizona Cardinals, but the Phoenix Cardinals from 1988. I sold 2 of those for $16, and they paid the shipping, which was about $9. I sold a Lunar Silver Star Story punching puppet. It's like a little punching puppet, and it's a video game from PlayStation 1. I remember that, so I saw this puppet, and it had never been taken out of the packages. It was like, ooh, this big. It's pretty good size. It was probably like a 20-inch or 18-inch toy, and you put your hand inside it, and you can make it punch. You go ch-ch-ch-ch. So I hope you enjoyed the sound effect. But he looked kind of weird, and I was like, oh, I know what Lunar Silver Star is. That's a video game. And I think I paid $6 or $8 for it, and I sold it for $32, and the buyer paid the shipping. Shipping that was really hard because I wanted to really protect the box that this guy came in. So I was being extra careful to kind of try to protect that box, and I'm kind of terrible at doing that right now. I'm still learning how to really ship really well, but from the feedback that I got, it obviously got there in good shape, and the outside box, not the box that the puppet came in, but the exterior box looked like crap, and I'm sorry that looked like that, but my post office, they can beat a box to death, it seems like, especially when it's a large box. So yeah, I'm sorry that the outside box looked like garbage, but I make sure that I double box, and I wrap a lot of bubble wrap around stuff, and I hope that you enjoy that puppet. It looked like a cool toy to have. And that's another thing, it's a sentimental thing. It's from PlayStation 1, so it's from like the late 90s. So if somebody was that old whenever they liked that video game, and they might have had that, this is still new in the box, and the box looked pretty good. It didn't look the best, so I listed it for $32. If it looked awesome and was in impeccable shape, I would have listed it for $59. But I gave somebody a deal, and they paid the shipping, and out the door it's probably about $40 for them. And with me, I made, $15 or $20, which I'm happy with that. Yeah, about $20 after shipping and fees, or with fees and everything else. The next item I got was Westminster Kennel Club and it was the 2017 official program. I just randomly saw this at a vendor's mall, and I saw it and I was like, I've never seen one of these Westminster Kennel Club programs ever. And I've been thrifting for maybe 3 years and I've never seen one. So I thought, oh, this could be valuable. And it was valuable. I think I picked it up for $1 or $1.50 and sold it for 15. And I did free shipping on that because it's just $2.89. So I made about $10 after fees, which I'm happy with. The next thing that I sold was a brown Stetson fedora for $25. The buyer paid the shipping. I got that at a Goodwill, and it was in great shape. And I, lint rolled it and cleaned it and made sure it looked great. And it was vintage. If it was from the 40s, it was from, it was from. It was probably from the late 40s, early 50s, just the way that it was made. I come across a lot of art books, and one that I kind of missed on was this next one. It's a Charles M. Russell book from the Amon Carter Museum, which is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, if I remember right, or Oklahoma City. Can't remember, but my family's from Oklahoma, so I recognized the name whenever I got it. I just sold it for $5.50, and the buyer paid shipping on it, so I made $5. I got that in a big bulk buy where I bought a whole bunch of stuff for like $5. It was one of those other ones that was a big bulk buy. I'm trying to see if I'm getting close to my. Oh no, I'm still going. Tony Hawk Skate Park Secret Tour DVDs. There's 4 DVDs. Sold them for $17. They paid the shipping. I also got a sealed original inbox PowerBook Yo-Yo. It was $55. And they paid the shipping on it, and I did really well on that. I think I bought it for $6 or $7. I think I bought it for $6 at a Goodwill. Sealed in the original Apple box. The Apple box looked good. Original foam. Looked like from 1999. It was time machine type stuff. The next thing that I had was something called the Fine Arts Cookbook. I think it was from like a museum in Massachusetts. It's from 1970. It's 50 years old. It was a beautiful book. And I sold it for $10. I didn't. The buyer paid $3.45 for shipping, but that cookbook was beautiful. They had like it had regular recipes in it, but then it would have like this art plate that was there that was in color or in black and white, and it was a spectacular book. I just really enjoyed looking at that. I sold something called Piano for Quitters. That was a $10 DVD. Buyer paid the shipping. And then I sold The Office Season 5 for $3.99. The buyer paid shipping. I didn't make hardly any money on that. I think I bought that for $1. I may have gotten that from a yard sale, but I can't remember. My kids love The Office, so I just bought The Office sets for them. And then our kids are moving, going away to college or whatever. I was buying those sets because they were talking about taking it off of Netflix. I don't know if they still did or not, but they watched them, and I just put them on eBay after they moved out. And then the last thing I sold, this is back on March the 7th. This is as far back as I'm going. Is a Basic Hand Tools Navy Training Course Manual, and if you just were at home and you want to know how to use certain hand tools, it had it in there. A drill press or a circular saw, or how to, figure out the angle for stairs. It had everything in there. And it was in really good shape. It had been used. Somebody had it in their garage, and they had an oily fingerprint on it or whatever, but it had been used. But full disclosure, I tell somebody, hey, it's been used. It was in I bought that in uh, I bought that in South Carolina, in Charleston, South Carolina, from an estate sale. And the guy worked in the Navy, and he was retired from the Navy. And I have like 40 circuit boards of something. I don't know what it is, but I bought a whole box full of them for like $5. I was like, these are just so cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but these look awesome. And they're just like old school, like 80, like they look like 1975 circuit boards. And that was one of the things I got there. And then I also got like 10 ammo cans for all of my ammunition that I have. So, but he took care of his stuff. And I really, whenever I go to a estate sale like that and I think, oh my goodness, this guy has, he served, and he gave his life to like working on ships, and it kind of hits you in that moment. I'm a veteran, but it hits you in that moment. Like, here's this guy who probably was in his 70s or 80s, and he had all his awards in his garage, and you see that and you think he lived his life, he served his country, he worked on things, he lived right there in Charleston probably the whole time he was there. And it kind of hits you whenever you're sitting there thinking about that kind of stuff. When I go to estate sales, I think about that a lot. I'm like, this person was a Christian, or they were a worker, or they did these things, like just because you can see the stuff that they left behind. And whether it's a big stack of Bibles or something on the wall that says bless our home or whatever it is, it kind of strikes me whenever I see that. This month has been really good. I mean, I have done pretty well this month. And I'm part-time. I'm a hobbyist. I just like going to yard sales and thrift stores and gathering up art. Some of the stuff behind me, all the stuff behind me, I've gotten at a Goodwill or at a thrift store, except for the farmer's market thing. I bought that from the farm. Well, where am I at? This farmer's market thing, I bought from a farmer's market in Knoxville. One of my friends started that farmer's market, and Charlotte, she's just an awesome person, and I loved getting those farmer's market things. But the thing of Venice, wherever that is, I think that's Venice. It's a watercolor, and this is, it says it's for the USSR, this print, these Monet prints, and this thing right here, this is by Lisa Schuster, who's a pretty well-renowned artist for abstract art on metal. Like big pieces of metal, like 10 by 10 pieces of art, or 4 by 4 pieces of abstract art. It's usually floral design. This one's called Burning Off. You can't really see it that well, but it's called Burning Off, and it's supposed to be like the mountains and all of that. But that's done in I think 1991, and it's got a decal edge on it, so it looks ripped, on the edges. But I emailed her and I said, "Is this your painting?" I found it I didn't want to tell her I found it at Goodwill. I said, "I found it and I love it. Is this yours? Is it called Burning Off?" Because it was labeled on the back. It said Burning Off, and it didn't even have her name on it, but she signed it. It's right there, you can see. It's one of my favorite things that I found at a Goodwill, because it was totally unexpected to find an art piece of that caliber in there. I have one other thing that I found art-wise, a lithograph that I've found that was just as surprising, but that I didn't know I was even buying it. It was just a complete surprise. But that, I was like, that's real art, and that's signed by somebody, and her name's Lisa Schuster, and I looked it up, and it's like lisaschuster.com. It's a person that's alive, and but yeah, I emailed her and she said, yeah, that's one of my first pieces that I did. It's one of the early pieces that I did. I think she started doing art later in life, so that's one of the things that is one of the things that she did later. she started when she was 30, maybe. Um, and I don't want to give away her age. That's awful, isn't it? But Lisa started doing that. And I think she was owned an art gallery or something, and she started doing art. And man, her art is awesome. If you like abstract art like I do, that's really cool. And then you can see over here, right there, that's a art print of Manhattan from 1940. You can barely see it. It says Manhattan right there. You see that Manhattan skyline? It says it right there. But I love that, and I got that for like $12. And then of course, this is something my daughter Sophia did. She's an awesome artist. That's from kindergarten, which I think is kind of cool that she did the three cardinals. And but that's from her kindergarten days. But man, she's a really good artist. I mean, I just have that up for sentimental reasons. And so that's one of the reasons I do some of the yard selling stuff that I do, is I just like collecting the art, like stuff that I really like. Some of the other stuff that I've gotten are some Americana lithographs and some early space type stuff that I've gotten, that I've framed, and it's down, I guess, in my man cave. I mean, I'm in here most of the time, so this is where I hang out most of the time to work and do everything else that I do. So you do all the stuff on eBay. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I started doing because I love books and I love art. So if I can collect those things and I can buy one thing that I really like, and then I can buy some other stuff that will pay for it, that's what I like. That's the reason I go. If I just sold stuff on eBay and someone just brought me the stuff to list and to put on, to list and to pack and sell and do all that, I'd probably be out of my mind bored. Like that doesn't seem that doesn't exciting to me. Like just listing and all of that. Even though I think I'm pretty good at the listing. I just don't know if that would be something that I would enjoy as much. I enjoy going and finding the treasure. I mean, that's the thrill of that, Many days I go and I don't get anything. You wouldn't know it by looking at this room, but many days I walk through a Goodwill or a thrift store or a vendor's mall. I don't see anything. And my eye has gotten a lot better, so that has been encouraging. One thing that I'm doing more and more is I'm doing a lot more clothing. So I know this has been a long video and it's kind of just talking, and I wanted to kind of just do a talking video because I really don't do that much of that. And there's some other people that I watch or listen to whenever I'm doing my shipping or I'm listing stuff. I listen to them as they ramble on. So hopefully I'm doing that for you as I talk about some of this other stuff. One of the things that I did find I wanted to show one thing that I did find recently. Last week was this. I don't know if you can see that well, but these are New Orleans Jazz Festival. You can see it on this top row. It's 1975. These are postcards. So this is the 1975 Jazz Festival poster, but in a postcard style. So I've got 75 to 82. But isn't that cool? Those are so awesome. I mean, isn't that awesome? I love the one from 1981. Check that out. With the rainbow in the back and everything. That is so awesome. But, yeah, I love that. I got this for $2.50. I got this for $2.50. each one of these postcards, like, it's in a mat, and I've taken these off, and these are originals. These are not repops. They do repop these all the time. This is not a repop. You can see my ring light in there. These are not repops. This is old, you know. See how old this thing is. But anyway, those are not repops. Each one of those cards, if I wanted to separate them out and just sell the postcards as is. Now, some people are like, why don't you take all that out and just sell them individually? Because I could sell them for 15, 16 bucks, upwards to $20 a postcard. I could do that. I kind of just want to sell them all together because I just think it looks neat that they're all together, you know, and it's 75 through 82. It's like kind of the, you think about all the people that played from 75 to 82, the Marsalis brothers, and, you know, all the old guys were still around from 75 to 82. All the old jazz greats were still around. I think that's cool. But I did buy that for $2.50. It was $5, and they said, "Oh, just half price." I was like, "Okay." I would have just gave you $5 for it, because I know, but I didn't know if those were repops or not. So I did not know that. I assumed, given the age of the frame, that they were old. And obviously they had collected those over time, because the aging on the back of the postcards is a little bit different. So they filled those in. Either, I know the 1982, and maybe just the 1982 is acid free, and that's why it hasn't been discolored very much. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I'd like to know about that, though. I think that by 82, acid-free paper started coming more and more in vogue, and it started being used. But those are awesome. I mean, I could sell those 8 cards for $120 individually if I wanted, or I could just sell the whole thing. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. I haven't really decided. I really like it, and my daughter Sophia really likes New Orleans. She's got a lot of Mardi Gras stuff in her room, and she's an artist, so I thought she might like it too, so I have not listed it, but I still think it's a cool item. See, that's part of me being a collector and enjoying certain pieces of Americana versus I find a cool thing, I'm going to tear these out, I'm going to sell them individually. I think all of us have their own quirky collection type stuff that we have to make a decision to, am I going to part this thing out, or am I going to keep them all together? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to keep it? And there's some items that I have a strong affinity for, and that's one of those things. That might be one of those things. But I am, this things almost went an hour, so I've been talking quite a bit, but I'll have to edit this a little bit later and put all the different pictures of all the different things that I have going on. And I wanted to also say special thanks to the people that have liked and subscribed to my videos. I'm getting 200 views on each one of my videos. That's really awesome, and I appreciate that. And I wanted to also say that part of my messaging has always been about Jesus and his impact on my life, and how when you have a personal relationship with Jesus, life might not be easier, but it's better. And dealing with everything we've had to deal with in the last year, I want you to know that I'm praying for you. If you want to comment and have me pray for you, I'm more than willing, and I want to pray for you. So whoever's watching this, I'm going to pray for you. And if you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus, it's really easy. It's one of the easiest things to do and hardest things to accomplish, to continue being a Christian, is, living that lifestyle can be hard because the world wants to throw everything on you that's evil and bad. It seems like, just to kind of shake your faith. But rest assured, you once you become a Christian, once you ask Jesus into your life, the Holy Spirit indwells within you. The Holy Spirit comes inside of you and helps you to be able to read the Bible and understand it, to be able to have relationships with other people in a more peaceful manner. The Holy Spirit helps you to talk to other people about your journey with Jesus and your testimony. So for me, I got saved whenever I was 10, and I was totally on fire for God for my teenage years, and then I fell away, and I just didn't do that much. And then whenever I was about 30, I started realizing like my daily tasks were not involving reading the Bible or being with Jesus or praying or doing any of those things, and I had kind of went to church here and there, but not really a daily devotional relationship with Jesus. Not like I am now. I mean, certainly not. But whenever I turned 30, so, for the last 20 years, I have had this incredible relationship with Jesus. And like I said, it's not been, it's not easy. I mean, it is easy to become a Christian, but that doesn't mean your life is going to be easy. Like that, oh, I'm a Christian now and everything's good. That's not how it works. How it does work is that you invite Jesus into your life and you start living the way He wants you to live. And it's pretty simple. Love God and love other people the way that you love yourself. That's about it. Love God above everything else and love other people. Doesn't matter what they look like, where they're from, what country they're from, how they treat you. That doesn't matter. None of that matters. Jesus said to forgive. Jesus said that everyone is your neighbor and you should treat your neighbor like yourself. So that part can be hard. It's an easy thing to say, love God, love people, and tell others about Jesus Christ, and He's the only way to heaven. That's my entire religious beliefs in like 3 sentences. At my church they say, love God, love people, live the mission. And that's about it. The stuff that's going on in our world today, dividing people based on race. So this person's black, or this person's Asian, or this person's white, or this person's from Georgia, or this person's from Minnesota, or they don't like this or that or the other, or they're from Venezuela, or they're breaking across the border. Whatever all that stuff is just divisive. That's just dividing us. And we need to step back and understand that Jesus came to say we're all God's children and we treat everyone with respect and kindness and generosity, and tell them about who Jesus is. That's the hard part, like fighting our own humanness to be able to go and do that. But I think I know you can do it. You can do that. You see the person standing in front of you at the grocery store or the person outside smoking a cigarette, or the person that's in front of you, that's constantly staying at the right on red light, and they won't turn right until it turns green. That person is a child of God. My road rage wants to jump out of my car and go tell them, please just turn right. But of course, that person is a child of God, and we should pray for all of those people. And we should understand that we need to live our lives as Jesus lived. And our example of how we live is the best witness that we can have. So me being upset or angry at the person in front of me at the grocery store, or the person behind me, or judging them, love people, love God, and go tell people about Jesus. And that's one of the reasons I made this long video, is to have this message, is I love you, Jesus loves you, and I want you to be able to have a personal relationship with Jesus. And if you don't know how to do that, if you don't know how to have a personal relationship with Jesus, you can always comment to me below. You can send me your email, or we can message back and forth, however you want to do that. I'm more than willing to do that. But my goodness, you're on YouTube already. You can always just say, like, how do I become a Christian? How do I have a personal relationship with Jesus on YouTube? Like, who is Jesus? You can just put in who is Jesus, and you're going to see Billy Graham talking about who is Jesus. And it could be from 1954 or 1974 or 1984. It could be for any year. But if you put in who is Jesus into YouTube, you're going to find someone talking about that, and it most likely will be Billy Graham. And there's no more simple message than Billy Graham talking to you about Jesus. With that, I wanted to say thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for watching my eBay stuff that I do.